Cal, thank you for joining me. Obviously, AdColony has had an incredible journey now being part of Opera MediaWorks, right. But you and I were just talking earlier about what really started that. Can you tell us a little bit about AdColony's story?
Yeah, so AdColony began as an app development shop. So we were a launch partner with the App Store back in June of 2008. Not a lot of people today know about that history. We're known primarily for our expertise in mobile video advertising. But we started off as a launch partner with Apple in 2008, and it was through our relationship with Apple, developing apps ourselves, as well as for third parties, and in particular large media companies that really monetize with advertising, did we discover the power of video advertising in a very early time period when mobile video advertising was still extremely nascent and not even really on anyone's roadmaps.
And then obviously video is everywhere now, and a couple of big acquisitions that we've seen. So why did it time out so well? I mean, the growth of screens themselves and obviously better performance, more app engagement, but what other factors are attributed to AdColony's success?
I would say it's really the proliferation of content. The screens were great. The screens make content more engaging. So whether you were a news publisher, whether you were a video content creator, whether you were a game developer, you would really be able to take advantage of the larger screen sizes, the better processing power, all the bells and whistles that these new high-end devices now enable us as consumers to consume and engage content with, really help drive the proliferation of video advertising, because these great content creators need a way to monetize that content in order to distribute it to us as consumers.
So the culture at AdColony is definitely something that shapes the startup and the success of the company. What's the culture like, and how has that changed since moving into Opera MediaWorks?
Yeah, so the culture of AdColony is really driven from top down by our leadership team, starting with our CEO, Will Kasoy, who's done a tremendous job of really guiding and leading the team into the situation that it is today, where we're post-acquisition, a critical part of a larger, broader organization, which has been very exciting for us, especially for those of us who have been there since day one. What's really been helpful, in addition to the fact of solid is not even the right word, but great leadership, is the fact that everyone is driven by the same passion and the same desire to do something different and make a difference in the ecosystem, in the space. And that began with how we even launched our video ad technology, which was we recognized the need in the marketplace to solve this problem of latency with mobile video ads, to solve this problem of graininess and choppiness and this lack of engagement. And everyone who joined the company really saw and bought into that vision, where we wanted to deliver the best video ad experience possible in the marketplace, because everyone else was focused on banners. This was a time when Quattro was acquired by Apple to become iAd, when AdMob was acquired by Google, and the focus was on banner and display. And so there was a real strategic opportunity for us to come into the mobile video advertising space and make a difference and solve those problems of latency, choppiness, graininess, and lack of engagement with our product, which became who we are today.
Yeah, so built for developers by developers.
Exactly. Built for developers by developers, exactly.
So what's it like for a developer working at AdColony?
So as for our engineering team, it's actually our CTO and our head of engineering, two brilliant developers that were instrumental. Ty Heath and Abe Prawley were instrumental in helping us launch some of our very first apps that we brought to the App Store, and that were #1 hits, whether it was overall in the entire App Store or #1 hits in their respective categories within the App Store. It really starts with engineers and developers who have a critical understanding of the way to communicate between the client and the server. Our technical solution is an SDK. It's very complicated. And that set us apart from the online video companies trying to get into the mobile video space after the fact. And really, their products pale in comparison to ours because we started within mobile. We were mobile first. And we actually approached it from a non-traditional advertising mindset. We came in creating these complex social games that required a real intimate and deep understanding, as I mentioned before, of how client code needs to interact with server code. How do you merge the best of server-to-server connections with what's going on the device to leverage the hardware and the software to create a complete, beautiful ad experience on video. And really that's what we've been able to do because those developers were who they are and the DNA that they brought to the table.
So we're here at Mobile World Congress. Obviously everybody's talking about the future. What is the future like for video advertising and then for AdColony?
The future is very bright. I think we're just beginning to see the tip of the iceberg, as the cliche goes. But video advertising is growing rapidly. We see all the data coming in through the different industry statistics and references that everyone cites and all of the keynotes that have happened this week. But what's most exciting for us is that we're here to continue to solve problems, right? We've solved the problem in 2009, 2010 when we first invented this technology. We brought it to the mass market in 2011 when we shifted away from developing apps to become a pure play ad monetization and ad network for mobile video. And now today, I would say some of the problems we're seeing from a publisher standpoint really are, how do we enable publishers to create more video inventory? And native video advertising really is the next phase. And we launched last year the very first in-feed native video ad spot. And that particular ad spot has been very exciting for us. Advertisers love it. We essentially soft launched it for the last 12 months. This quarter, Q1 2015, is when we first publicly are making this technology available to publishers and even to advertisers. And we have a very specific initiative for creative targeted to advertisers to help educate them and help them bring more native video ad focused creative to the marketplace, because native video advertising is distinct and different from traditional pre-roll and interstitial and value exchange ads, which tend to be full screen. It's very exciting for us. So bright future ahead, really led by native video ads.
So let's talk a little bit about video advertising for a second.
Yeah.
What are some of the natural points in an app? What kind of apps tailor well to videos, and how is video different in a game from, say, a news app?
Okay, great question. So what we like to say is video advertising works best typically in app environments where there's long session times, where the users spend a lot of time to get wedded and engaged to that content. Because a video ad in its nature is intrusive and interruptive because it takes over the full screen, right? So if you have a utility-based application where your sole purpose is to perform a specific function to find maps, for instance, directions from point A to point B, or even to know what the weather is like today, you want to get in and you want to get out. You don't want to see a pre-roll, you don't want to see an interstitial, you don't want to be interrupted. Those types of environments have low session times, maybe high volume of usage per day, but very low session times. So you don't want to interrupt a 30-second session with a 15-second video ad. On the other hand, apps that tend to do very well and are appropriate for video advertising are apps like a news app, like you mentioned, where users tend to spend more time engaged with the content. They're willing to watch video content, so they're willing to sit through a 15-second pre-roll. What's really interesting for us that we've seen with the native ads, just to bring it back to native advertising, is that app content is becoming increasingly feed-based, right? As the users scroll through the feed with their fingers or their thumbs, that's where native ads can come into play. Because in those types of environments, there may not be that video content that can create that traditional pre-roll, or even an interstitial video may be too intrusive. How do you create that supply for the publisher to monetize with ads? Well, that's through inserting beautiful, high definition, instant playing video ads inside of the feed. And again, they gotta be well targeted, they've gotta play instantly, they've gotta be high definition so that they're relevant to the user, and it's the best ad experience possible for the user so that they can respond and engage with these ads.
So AdColony was in the perfect place at the right time, and it seems like native and AdColony go really well together, because you talked a little bit about before moving from online to video, and now native makes so much sense when it comes to video.
Right.
And as the advertising industry matures, you're starting to get a better understanding of how users are interacting with it, and native is exploding everywhere.
Right.
Well, thank you for joining us today.